I just want to start this video once again by saying I'm a fan of a division rival, and a very feisty division rival in San Jose. The Vegas Golden Knights. Well then. Well then. This is a team that is it seems like they are the new Sharks. You know, a blip of success and a lot of success, but tumultuous choking. And here's why. I don't think this team is going to be the next Sharks. I feel like, yeah, despite my bias, I feel like Vegas is going to win a Stanley Cup within the next 5, maybe 10 years. Now, I could be completely wrong. They could prove my mind. They could change my mind and say, you know, they're winning next year. I don't know. The Sharks built a lot of top-heavy teams. For example, this is NHL 2K9 that I'm playing on. And this team was top-heavy. You had Milan Mahalik. This was actually before Danny Heatley came over. So you had Milan Mahalik, Jonathan Chichu, who was a Rocket Richard winner, I believe 2 years removed from being Rocket Richard winner. Joe Thornton, one of the best setup men in the world. Milan Mahalik, who was very speedy. Patrick Marleau, the heart and soul of the team. Christian Ehrhoff and Rob Blake, two solid defensemen. And, you know, in net, you have the most stable Yevgeny Nabokov, backed up by Brian Boucher. That's still, you know, this team did not win a cup, okay? 2009, this team was set aside by the Detroit Red Wings, if I'm not mistaken. And, you know, the thing about these teams is that you have to look and wonder, what went wrong? You know, what went wrong? First off, this season for Vegas was the most dominant season I have ever seen them play. They were second in the league. They lost the President's Trophy on tiebreaker. Okay? This 2009 Sharks team was the President's Trophy winner. They were so potent, so good, nothing could stop them. Not even a quadruple overtime winner from Brendan Morrow the previous year could stop this Sharks team. They fell down to earth so hard. They lost in 6 games to Anaheim. Yeah, they lost in 6 to fucking Anaheim. Now let's just set the precedent straight here. This is a Sharks team that was being coached at the time by Todd McClellan, who at that point was one of the newer hires. We didn't know that he was a textbook choker. He was from the Mike Babcock system. You know, you had Patrick Marleau playing out of his mind, Joe Thornton playing like the MVP. You had so many things go right for the Sharks team, yet they didn't win. They didn't win anything. Vegas, though, here's the way it went for the Vegas Golden Knights. The second team in the West, the second team in the National Hockey League, losing the President's Trophy on tiebreaker. Their head coach is Peter DeBoer, who is on his 4th head coaching job. His first one was in Florida. He didn't do much. His second one was New Jersey. He took that team in 2012 to the Stanley Cup Final. They lost in, I believe, 7 or 6. I believe 6 to the Los Angeles Kings. And then he took a job here in San Jose. In San Jose, he coached from 2016 to 2020. What can't be said about Peter DeBoer? He was in 2015-16, he was inheriting a team from Todd McClellan that was so beaten and bruised that there was actually some sort of a rebuild that might have been taken. Doug Wilson just put a team together and said, hey, do what you need to do. And Peter DeBoer got the most out of his players, especially Martin Jones, that year. In 2017, the team was tired. They looked flat. They were uninspired. They did not play well. They lost in 6 to Edmonton. That was the first Sharks series I've actually watched, besides 2016 and 2014. I stopped watching Sharks hockey after 2014 because of the embarrassment that was in Los Angeles. 2018, this team was supposed to be a Stanley Cup contender, and they lost to the Vegas Golden Knights. Okay, so you're saying, Peter DeBoer has the Stanley Cup final appearance. They lost in 6 to Pittsburgh. You lose in 6 in the first round to Edmonton, 2018. 2017. 2018, you lose in the second round in 6 for Vegas. Okay. 2019, they go out and get Erik Karlsson. They go out and get Gustav Nyquist, and they go out and literally get anything to hold this team stable. The main reason I think that the Sharks lost was injuries and Martin Jones turning into a fucking shell. Martin Jones was, under the DeBoer regime, was one of the better players that Peter DeBoer had. He was one of the better players that Pete DeBoer had. Goaltending for Peter DeBoer, in Florida, in Florida, he had some interesting goaltending, certainly. In New Jersey, Martin Brodeur, Hall of Fame goaltender. In San Jose, you have Martin Jones. Martin Jones, okay, I will admit, is not the best goaltender. Like, you look at now with hindsight, 3 years ago, the guy was looking like a Vezina candidate. He was looking like the Conn Smythe candidate if the Sharks had won that Stanley Cup. He bailed them out, and then people began figuring out his game. And by the time that he signed that contract, people figured out his game and exploited him glove side all the time. He just gives up soft serve goals now. That Sharks team lost in the Western Conference Finals in 6 games to St. Louis. The next season, you are reeling Joe Pavelski. You are reeling, losing so much depth that Joe Thornton has to play on the second line. They fired DeBoer. Okay, the Sharks fired DeBoer. They replaced him with Bob Boughner, and now we have this situation in San Jose. So then Vegas, they have Gerard Gallant. Okay, Gerard Gallant is a player that gets the most out. Is a coach that gets the most out of his players. Gallant, he was. I don't know if he was past his expiration date. He was kind of a bonehead, I will admit. Giving up 4 power play goals. I mean, I will admit the call was not supposed to be. The call was kind of exaggerated. I will admit, as a Sharks fan. But let's face it, that atmosphere was fucking rocking. So thank you Vegas. The biggest problem that I saw was the fact that Gerard Gallant was a good coach. They just lost a little bit. They just lost some games that they weren't supposed to lose. And then management, George McPhee, Bill Foley, Kelly McCrimmon, they just said, yeah, let's fire him. Fire him in the sun. Gallant gets fired. Okay, and I believe at that time you have Peter Laviolette, Peter DeBoer, Mike Keenan, ton of guys. There's a ton of guys in that coaching machine. Alain Nesruddin, I believe, something like that. They went with fucking Peter DeBoer, the guy that they lost to a year prior. All right, and DeBoer gets outcoached. All right, let's look at his playoffs. Let's look at his playoff sheet. His main playoff sheet with the Devils, 2012. 2012, he just simply got outmaneuvered. All right, he got outmaneuvered by Daryl Sutter. In 2016, Stanley Cup Final, he could not adapt to Mike Sullivan's really speedy. Mike Sullivan's very speedy way of coaching. All right, the Penguins just look like the better team. The Penguins just look like such a good team. And they never adapt. They never adapted. So what Vegas did, they hired Peter DeBoer. All right, and Vegas has Mark Stone, Jonathan Marchessault, William Karlsson, Chandler Stevenson. This lineup, okay, let me just read you the top line. Mark Stone. No, sorry. Max Pacioretty, Chandler Stevenson, Mark Stone. Second line. Jonathan Marchessault, William Karlsson, Riley Smith. The third line, you have Wah, Kolasar, and I believe Alex Tuck. And then the fourth line, you can have Nosek, Reeves, whoever the fuck you want, Matthias Janmark. That is such a good team. Yet they failed. They failed to win. When you have that much depth, alright, when you have that much depth as a team, it's a shame that you could not win. Quite frankly, a shame. You want to know what they did against Montreal? They tried to be physical, all right? They tried to be physical because it worked. It worked against Colorado, who was a speedy team, and they just got physical, and Colorado never adapted. Jared Bednar never adapted in that series. He thought he could just do the same thing against the Blues. Because they lost their most physical player, they did not have a way to clap back at it. Dominic Ducharme was out for the tail end of that series. Okay? He was out. You had Luke Richardson, who was an AHL coach, Alex Burrows, who was just retired, and then a bunch of other unknown guys on that Montreal bench. And they outcoached you. You got outcoached by a B-team guy. You got outcoached by Alex fucking Burrows. And Luke Richardson, who has no professional coaching experience in the NHL level. That is absurd. Peter DeBoer, you know, there are three things. Okay, here are my three things. Vegas lost against Montreal, 3 reasons. Peter DeBoer, the top 6 vanishing, and Marc-Andre Fleury's gaff. Okay, that gaff, you know, Fleury played phenomenal that whole series. He really played on his head. So did Robin Lehner. I'm not putting the blame on him, but do you want to know the turning point? The turning point for the Montreal Canadiens, you know, when they were so down and beaten, all right, they looked so dead in Game 3, was that Marc-Andre Fleury gaff. That right there was the turning point for the Montreal Canadiens. When Fleury made that gaff and Josh Anderson buried it, that put something into the heads of the Montreal Canadiens. Say, hey, we can beat this team. We can really beat this team. And that's what they did. Vegas got outclassed and outperformed by the Montreal Canadiens, who nobody thought was going to be here. They're not even supposed to be here. Everyone was expecting that Montreal was going to blow it. They were going to lose in 5 to Toronto. If Ilya Mikheyev's shot had just gone in, we wouldn't even be talking about Montreal. We would probably be talking about, I don't know, Colorado or Vegas against Tampa Bay in a Game 2. And you got to look at the scenario, you know. Montreal, you know, you could have said, hey, they just played better. They did. They really did. But you want to know what would have helped Vegas? Is if Peter DeBoer, you know, adapted to specific kinds of play. That's what he did in the Colorado series, but he usually doesn't do that unless something is on the line. I think DeBoer, I think his job will be on the line in a year. I feel like the hot seat is beginning to get warm. You know, his seat is going to get warmer and warmer and warmer if this team doesn't make it to the Stanley Cup final. Plain and simple. You know, they almost blew it against Minnesota. Against Colorado, they looked dead for 2 games. And Montreal was just the icing on the cake. This team, I don't know what to do with it. You have UFAs like Alec Martinez and Tomas Nosek that are very vital to your team. What do you do with them? You have prospects like Cody Glass, Keegan Colasar, Peyton Krebs, Dylan Coughlin, Nicholas Hague. You have so many decent prospects there. I don't even think you need Ryan Reeves. Quite honestly, I think Colasar can do a better job than Ryan Reeves. I think at this point, I think you should just send him to waivers or trade him. Because you don't need Ryan Reeves. I don't think this Vegas team needs Ryan Reeves. I don't know what to do with Vegas. I feel like their cup window is still open because of the Pacific Division. The Seattle Kraken are coming in. Vancouver should be fine. I don't know if San Jose, because you look at the division, Calgary is kind of eh. Edmonton is a bit shaky. We'll see what they do. San Jose might be another competitor against Vegas. I don't know. Looking at what the Sharks have, it's a roster that is not a Stanley Cup contender, but it's more of like a fringe playoff contender. Vegas, all right, let's be real here. They just outclassed, outperformed, and the 3 reasons why they lost: DeBoer, the top 6, and that Fleury gaff was a turning point for Montreal. The Canadiens have turning points. All right, let's look at the turning points for Montreal. Round 1, Nick Suzuki. Round 2, the Scheifele hit. Round 3, you have the Fleury gaff. I don't know what round 4 holds. Vegas, all right. Me being a rival fan now. Here's me being a rival fan. Let's go, Vegas! You fucking lost! This is why you don't hire Peter DeBoer, you fucking idiots! Why do you hire Peter DeBoer to coach your team? You don't win Stanley Cups with Peter DeBoer. Oh, that'll do it. Those are my thoughts on the Vegas Golden Knights. Most of it was about Montreal and their series, but Vegas, I don't know what to do with it. They just seem like a team that, I don't know, the offseason will have to be very telling. But, yeah, thank you for watching the video. Like and subscribe, and see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.